Is it possible to force Google to use the last modified date on a post? And they say, I've added the last modified parameter in the schema and hidden the published date for my posts, but Google is still showing the published date, and all my posts seem like they're years old when I've actually recently updated them quite significantly. Can I get Google to accept the modified date in a way that won't damage my SEO?
It's a good question. There's been a lot of thoughts about that. I know I've seen other pages, other like mostly blog posts, obviously, that maybe there was a good piece of content, let's just say on like, link building, and it was written in 2019, and they got a lot of, a lot of value out of it and a lot of visits to it. And then maybe they update it in 2023 or 2024 now, and they put, last updated April 1st, 2024. But if the published date is still from 2019, even though you've got updated content, the data was published is still sitting at that original date. So we have seen some studies which are interesting. I've seen some studies anyway that are interesting, where if you change the published date to the new date that you added this new value, that it looks like fresh content to Google. It's like it's freshened. So even though it's older content that you've updated, especially if it's been quite significant, you're going to have a little bit more, there'll be a fresh set of content. Go ahead and update the blog post published date to today's date, right? So now in Google's eyes, they'll see it as new content, even though it's not, it's fresh content. And then what you could do is, most of the times when I've seen this in the past, someone will say, updated, April 1st, 2024. But you could also put in a note that says originally written on, May 1st, 2019. So you can kind of let the user know it was originally published back in 2019, but now you've got the current date of, 2024 that Google would see as new. So it's not really a way of saying, let me keep my old date that's published, but have Google see that it's fresh content. Google sees fresh content whenever they visit the page again. So if you could try also resubmitting the old URL to Google in Search Console, just to kind of see, maybe they haven't indexed it in the last few years. Maybe it's been sitting stagnant for a few years and they haven't wasted any of their crawl budget on that old page. If you resubmit the page, that could also maybe pick things up for you. So I would say two things. If the page hasn't been indexed in a while because it's old, resubmit it, give it a couple of days and see what happens. If that doesn't do anything, then, as I mentioned, I would probably go ahead, make the updates like you said, change the updated post date, like edit the actual date published to the day that you actually published the updated version, and make a note of when the original item was published. That has had some significant impact. We have seen people just change the published date from an old to a new, and rankings have gone up for that page. So I would give it a shot if it's more about getting rankings and getting the page found and getting people to your website. Screw the published date. Get the published date newer and just let people know it was originally published 4 years ago, than trying to kind of use structured data or some other things to help Google kind of find it. And then on the page, they could physically on the page say, originally published this date, updated this date. So those would be my two options that I would say you give it a shot. None of them are perfect. None of them are a direct solution, but they're tweaks that you can do to kind of maybe get the same value out of it that I'm guessing they're looking for. So that would be my suggestions.